Hello, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. The first thing I got for you right here.
Says he wants to testify to a federal
Okay, this one here says Obama-era staffer blows whistle on Biden kickback scheme. He is a criminal. Let's see what it says here.
Jury because he says he has information about then Vice President Joe Biden's role in his son Hunter's business. But he says the FBI has been ignoring him.
Former Obama stenographer Mike McCormick joins us now. Mike, thanks for being here. You say you are a witness to a crime. Walk us through why you say that.
Yes. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
So in April 2014, I was in Air Force Two with Joe Biden and Jake Sullivan. At the time, no one knew that Hunter Biden was already on the board of Burisma Holdings, the natural gas conglomerate from Ukraine. Joe Biden is directing Jake Sullivan in the front of the plane what to say to the press. My job as a stenographer on the plane is to record what the vice president or a senior administration official says to the press. So I'm sitting back there with a tape recorder. Jake Sullivan comes back and somebody asks him about fracking. His answer is, well, we're bringing a lot of American assistance over for fracking. Burisma was the direct beneficiary of that fracking. And that's what I recorded. And that's in a White House transcript. In the transcript, you don't know who Jake Sullivan is. It's a senior administration official. I'm the witness that says Jake Sullivan is the guy who said it, and he should be investigated because at the time, Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma, and Joe Biden is bringing American taxpayer money to enrich that company and himself and his family.
Yeah, Mike, let me throw in a few dates here. Hunter joins the Burisma board April 18th, 2014. You have that conversation with Jake Sullivan April 21st, 2014, outlining how the U.S. would help Ukraine's gas industry with Joe Biden's help. Hunter's role not made public till May 12th, 2014. And then in December of that year, Congress approves $50 million to support Ukraine's energy sector. Ashley.
You know, Mike, my biggest question is, you said the FBI has been ignoring you. It's no secret right now that people don't have a lot of faith in the FBI. Would you tell them, and what did they say back to you?
Well, that's a great question, Ashley. I came across this story back in October. I published it in my Substack. My Substack is Midnight in the Laptop of Good and Evil. I didn't hear much about it. In February, I went to the FBI and filed one of their tips on their website. If you do that and you're lying to them, you go to jail. I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth, and I'm not going to jail. Joe Biden is a criminal. He was conducting malfeasance in office to enrich his family. Jake Sullivan is a conspirator in that, and there's more Obama officials involved in it, I believe.
So you are willing to go under oath to state that you are certain that this was a kickback scheme that Joe Biden was orchestrating, correct?
Correct. There's a grand jury right now in Wilmington, Delaware. They've been seated for 3 years with a special prosecutor named David Weiss. If David Weiss can't have me in front of his grand jury explaining what I know as a witness, that's a fraudulent grand jury. It's a fraudulent use of the American judicial system to cover for Barack.
The link will be in my description box if you want to see the rest of it. It's from Fox News. And let me go to my next one here. This one here is from Saving Advice. Price of gas pushed by supply, demand, cartels, and seasonal change. See what it says here.
The price of gas is beginning its annual rise to take advantage of summer travel plans. Today, the average price at the pump is $3.668 per gallon, according to the Automobile Association of America, AAA. The current price of gas is 11 cents higher than last week. However, it is 42 cents lower than this time last year. In addition, it is well below the record high of $5.016 per gallon set last June. That said, several pieces are in play that could push the price of gas higher. Consequently, the U.S. Energy Information Agency, EIA, is predicting the price of gas will top out at $3.60 to $3.70 a gallon this summer. Supply and demand out of whack. Among the things that are askew in the current rise in gas prices is the law of supply and demand. That axiom of economics says that if demand drops and supplies stay about the same, the price of gas should decline. However, according to the EIA, demand for gas fell from 9.3 to 8.94 million barrels a day as prices rose last week. The reason gas prices violated the law of supply and demand is a recent rise in oil prices. Oil is the main ingredient in gasoline. OPEC Plus cuts. Oil prices were given a boost earlier this month when OPEC Plus announced it will begin cutting oil production by 1.16 million barrels per day in May. However, oil prices have risen every day since March 29, according to the AAA. OPEC Plus is a combination of 13 OPEC countries located primarily in the Middle East and Africa and another 10 oil-producing nations. Oil rose again Friday following the release of the latest oil markets report from the International Energy Agency, IEA. Demand for oil will climb by 2 million barrels a day to a record 101.9 barrels a day, according to the report.
Okay, and there's more to read. The link will be in my description box. Chinese demand, U.S. refineries. Anyway, let me go to the next one here. Next one here will be from the Daily Digest. This is what it feels like to be in a nuclear blast.
It would be a truly awful experience. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to experience a nuclear explosion? It's a complicated question, but not one that's difficult to answer. We have the accounts of those who lived through a blast firsthand, and it sounds like a truly terrifying experience. Observing an explosion. Take for example the memories of former U.S. Navy scientist Rod Bunsen, who in 1958 observed the detonation of an 8.9 megaton thermonuclear explosion off the coast of the Marshall Islands and said the experience was forever etched in his mind. The immediate effects. In a nuclear detonation, the thermal and shock effects are the most immediate and are unimaginable, Bunsen explained in a 2022 New York Times article. The fission-fusion process that occurs in a thermonuclear explosion happens in a millionth of a second. A blinding light. Bunsen was 20 miles away but was still able to experience the blinding light and powerful shockwave that raced towards him as the initial fireball from the explosion appeared and rose into the air above the blast site, pulling the surrounding ocean with it. Fireball and heat. As the fireball continued to rise and expand, the heat of the explosion came on next. Bunsen felt as if it was becoming unbearable according to his account shared with the NYT, and he could feel that his exposed ankles were starting to hurt from the rising temperature. Time seemed to have stopped. Time seemed to have stopped. I had lost my count of the seconds, Bunsen explained before going on to talk about the heat and how he felt he thought the back of his head was going to catch on fire.
And that's 6 of 17 photos there. Link will be in my description box if you want to go through every one of them. Now the next one from Tag 24 News. South Korea fires shots at North Korean boat at the border.
Seoul, South Korea. The South Korean armed forces said they had fired warning shots at a military boat from North Korea on the maritime border between the two countries. The incident occurred on Saturday, the General Staff in the South Korean capital Seoul announced on Sunday. The boat from North Korea had crossed the Northern Limit Line (NLL) in the sea between the Korean peninsula and China. The patrol boat turned back after being fired upon by a South Korean Navy speedboat. The NLL is not recognized by North Korea. The borderline was drawn unilaterally by a UN command after the Korean War, 1950-53, to prevent hostilities between the two sides. The border was also the site of repeated battles between warships from both countries after the war. South Korea's military suggested that the North Korean patrol boat may have chased a Chinese fishing boat engaged in illegal fishing activities. The South Korean speedboat collided slightly with a Chinese fishing boat during its deployment in poor visibility, it said. Some of the South Korean crew members suffered minor injuries, it added. The incident at the NLL comes at a time of growing tensions on the Korean peninsula. North Korea has been testing nuclear-capable missiles since last year in violation of UN bans. South Korea and the United States are again holding their joint military exercises in full scale.
And that's all I got on that one there. We'll go to the next one. This from Motor Biscuit. New EPA ruling will make it difficult to buy gas-powered vehicles in only 7 years.
Sponsored content. The Environmental Protection Agency is ready to enact major cuts to emissions from internal combustion engines tomorrow. While this EPA ruling is meant to decrease what is partially causing climate change, there are ramifications that will create other problems. Based on what the EPA has telegraphed about the proposed changes, it appears it will result in automakers producing many more EVs than the market demands to hit the strict EPA emissions numbers. Are there unintended issues with the EPA ruling? That's partially why the EPA is lowering the number of carbon emissions from ICE vehicles. But the unintended result is that they'll have to produce a larger block of EVs to help lower its combined emissions across entire brands starting in 2027. Estimates are that by 2030, over 50% of vehicles across the country will be either plug-in hybrids or EVs. These changes are in line with the Biden administration's goals for emissions. What President Biden has pushed back on is banning new gas-powered vehicles by 2035. There is concern that federal mandates will lead to more drastic moves like California's ban on new vehicles powered by internal combustion engines, or ICE, by 2035. Can this EPA ruling happen this quickly? That concern also comes from the Alliance for Automotive Innovation. It's a trade group that most car manufacturers are members of. What's being voiced is, the question isn't whether it can be done, it's how fast can it be done. One of the main concerns is as automakers dive further into technology to make their ICE vehicles cleaner in the short term, means less is put into zero-carbon technology.
And there's more to read on that if you want to read about it. Going to the next one here. I thought this one here was interesting. It says, this from Money Pop. The U.S. government is offering free room and board in a small town, yet no one wants to live there.
The U.S. government is offering free room and board in a small town, yet no one wants to live there. The United States government has issued a decree stating that anyone living in the abandoned town of Garnett, Montana, can stay there free of charge. Amazingly, no one has taken the unbelievable offer. Garnett, Montana. The town of Garnett, Montana, dates back to the 1860s. Once a bustling mining town, it is now nothing more than an abandoned plot of land with buildings that transport visitors back to the Old West. Even though it has been a ghost town for centuries, the United States government is not giving up on it. Free room and board with one stipulation. In an attempt to get people back into the town of Garnett, the U.S. government said that whoever lived there could do so free of charge. They would give them free room and board, and even a monthly stipend for meals. The only stipulation: the new resident would have to work at the local souvenir shop and give tours to visitors. Too good to be true? For many, the offer probably sounds too good to be true. So, why weren't people flocking to Garnett? Well, it might have to do with the fact that the abandoned town is far from other cities. Or maybe because there is little to no Wi-Fi and not much entertainment around. The reason is actually far more complicated and spooky. Fresh air and beautiful natural scenery. The thing is, Garnett is actually a beautiful town, located at the base of a mountain range and surrounded by miles of lush forest. With fresh air and natural scenery, Garnett is a sight to behold. Still, no one was taking the government up on their very generous free living offer. Once a mining town. A once booming mining town, Garnett was known for its ruby-colored stones found in the area. Even though they're not considered precious stones, they were still valuable and had people coming to the town in hopes of striking a gold mine. More so, though, people were flocking to the town because the area was rich in gold-bearing quartz deposits.
So this is only 6 of 21 photos here. There's more if you want to know more about it. I never heard anything about it before. Sounds something like I might want to do. Okay, let's go to the next one here. It's from Ukrainska Pravda. UAV with explosives found in Bryansk. I know I'm not saying that right.
An unmanned aerial vehicle with explosives was found in the Russian city of Bryansk. Source: Baza. Details: the wreckage of an unknown aircraft was discovered by a local resident. It lies in the forest about 5 kilometers from the city. Among the debris, a bomb was found. Presumably, the drone carried a charge of plastic explosive. Kremlin propagandists, meanwhile, assert that the UAV was launched by the armed forces of Ukraine, and claim that their goal was the local cemetery.
And that's all I got on that one there. I'll go to the next one here. This is from Go Banking Rights. Experts propose tax cap on Social Security solution, which Americans will be most affected.
If nothing is done to change course, Americans on Social Security may see their monthly benefits drop by 25% in the years ahead. That's because the Social Security Trust Fund reserves could become insolvent within the next decade. Some experts say raising the Social Security payroll tax cap could help solve the problem. Find out all the states that currently workers pay 6.2% of their wages, and their employers match that contribution. However, any earnings over the income cap of $160,200 are exempt from the tax, a limit that roughly 6% of wage earners hit. Raising the cap. Raising the income cap to $250,000 or more, or eliminating it altogether could replenish the trust fund reserves and keep the program running at full capacity beyond the next decade. Doing so would also shift some of the burden of funding Social Security from the middle class to wealthy, high-wage earners. Rently, those earning over the cap pay an effective Social Security payroll tax rate of 1% or less. However, those earning under the cap get stuck footing a bill that's 6 times higher. Other potential solutions. Not all experts and lawmakers agree that increasing the Social Security payroll tax cap is the best way to solve the problem. Other proposed solutions include raising the full retirement age to 70, now 66 to 67. Increasing the payroll tax rate to 15.6% from 12.4%. Privatizing Social Security. Imposing a Social Security tax on business and investment income, currently exempt.
Okay, that's all I got on that one there. And let's go to the next one. This is from Politico. What it will look like if China launches cyber attacks in the U.S.
Sponsored content. While much of the cybersecurity world's attention is on fending off Russian hacks against Ukraine, American officials are increasingly worried about another growing threat: attacks by China on U.S. soil. If China invades Taiwan, they say, it is likely to unleash a volley of digital strikes against the United States at the same time. Beijing continues to issue bold threats against the island. Most recently, China renewed military drills around the island in response to last week's meetings in the U.S. between Taiwan's president and House leaders, a meeting China called a provocation. Top lawmakers, the U.S. intelligence community and cybersecurity officials have warned in recent weeks that if an invasion happens, China would likely try to hobble critical U.S. systems with cyber attacks on military transport systems like ports and railroads, or against key civilian services like water and electricity. If Xi Jinping moves on Taiwan, we should assume he'll launch cyber attacks against the United States as part of the operation, Representative Mike Gallagher, Republican Wisconsin, chair of the House Select Committee on China, said in an emailed statement. This would likely include attacks on our electrical grid, water systems, and communications infrastructure, especially near key military installations. Chinese hackers could also attack the networks of companies that provide services to the military or to critical infrastructure operators, holding their systems hostage for ransom payments. If you get the right supply chain, it can have a lot of effects against a lot of targets, said John Haltquist, head of Mandiant Intelligence Analysis at Google Cloud. China is viewed as one of the most dangerous nations in cyberspace, and its cyber espionage operations are among some of the U.S. government's top cyber-related investigations. FBI Director Christopher Wray said in 2020 that his agency opens a new investigation into a Chinese counterintelligence effort every 10 hours, and half of the FBI's counterintelligence investigations are related to China. And the intelligence community's threats assessments have long warned that China is almost certainly capable of launching disruptive and destructive cyber attacks.
Okay, remember, China been trying to buy up a lot of land in the U.S., and then the U.S. is trying to stop them. Now they're trying to start companies over here. You think they'll be full of spies getting ready to attack us from the inside, like the Trojan horse? Think about it. Let's go on the next one. This is from India Today. What UK leaks reveal about Chinese spy balloon? Beijing air superiority over Taiwan.
Highly classified documents shedding light on American intelligence were leaked online in the preceding week. The documents showed that the United States was aware of at least 4 balloons beyond one that was shot down in February. The leaks also hinted at China gaining air superiority over Taiwan swiftly after or in an attack which Russia failed to do over Ukraine since February 2022. On Thursday, armed FBI officers arrested a member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard, raided the residence of 21-year-old Jack Teixeira and took him into custody in connection with the alleged release of documents. Jack worked in the cybersecurity department. Over 50 documents labeled as secret and top secret surfaced in February-March on social media. These documents purportedly contain information about the military capabilities of some U.S. allies and adversaries. While Beijing had admitted that the balloon was theirs but condemned the espionage allegations. Condemning America's suspicion about the balloon being used for possible espionage on the part of China, Beijing's foreign ministry said the device was gathering weather data and it had gone astray. Now, the leaked documents show that U.S. officials were aware of up to 4 Chinese surveillance balloons. Another balloon flew over a U.S. carrier strike group located in the Pacific Ocean, but the incident was never reported. The leaked intelligence also stated that the other balloon crashed into the South China Sea, and that U.S. officials had remaining questions about the February Chinese spy balloon. In the leaked documents, the balloons were referred to as Bulger 21 and Acardo 21. An unnamed U.S. intelligence official told the Washington Post that these surveillance balloons were named alphabetically, from A to Z.
And that's all I got on that one there. Now we'll go to my last thing here. This is from the Daily Digest. China's military drills near Taiwan provide a serious warning for the world.
Are we heading towards a war in the Asian Pacific? 3 days of intense Chinese military drills simulating the encirclement of Taiwan have fundamentally changed the strategic situation in the Asian Pacific. But what happened and why should it matter to you? China's ire spiked by a visit to the U.S. The Chinese government's ire was prompted by the visit of President Tsai Ing-wen to the United States, a situation they saw as a provocation since Taiwan is not considered an independent nation but rather a part of the mainland under the One China policy. Don't contact House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. If she contacts U.S. House Speaker McCarthy, it will be another provocation that seriously violates the One China principle, harms China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and destroys peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait, said Zhu Fenglian of Taiwan's president. There will be retaliation. Fenglian is a representative of China's Taiwan Affairs Office and noted that her country was firmly opposed to a high-level meeting between Taiwan's president and American officials, adding that China would definitely take measures to resolutely fight back. China wasn't bluffing. The warning wasn't a bluff, and shortly after Tsai Ing-wen returned home from her visit to the United States, China's People's Liberation Army launched an intense 3-day military drill that simulated an attack on their island neighbor. A clear display of military might. In a clear display of military might, dozens of Chinese military aircraft flew across the median line of the Taiwan Strait, wrote William Yang of DW News.
Okay, that's 5 of 18 photos here, pages. You can read the rest in my description box. That's all I got for you for today. I hope I gave you something to use. Remember, I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading, speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, at least come back once in a while. And until next, thanks for watching, and until next time.